Welcome to Maggie Walker News Network, your source for information in a fast-paced world. Coming to you live is an exclusive interview with Florida Senator and presidential hopeful Marco Rubio. Let's take you out to Miami.
Senator Rubio, great to have you on MWNN. We'll begin with the discussion on immigration. President Obama will again be pursuing his push for immigration reform in the coming months. What should Republicans in Congress feel about this?
Well, something we can all agree on is this. We need to make changes to our immigration system. It is a broken system, and we do not have adequate mechanisms in place to enforce immigration policies. But perhaps we should step back and see what the House can do on this issue, as the Senate has not been able to accomplish much.
Well, Senator Rubio, let's bring this back to you. You championed a Senate bill the past couple months ago, but backed away from supporting it amid political backlash from the GOP. Let me ask this, do you still support reform with less of a focus on enforcement and more on an earned path to citizenship?
Absolutely. I believe, as I always have, that the best path for immigration reform is one of individual bills that form a logical progression. While much of the Senate did not agree with my specific plan on reform, I felt that it was much more important that the Senate take the first step, so I backed off a little. And much like we've been told over the last weeks that we need to accept the fact that Obamacare is not going to go away, many Democrats in Congress need to do the same. They need to work to make immigration reform, a matter that many Republicans express a strong interest in, actually happen.
But Senator, there is also opposition coming from your own party. Some conservatives equate your path to citizenship with amnesty, and your GOP polling has taken a hit, dropping 7% since April with your immigration push. Do you believe your stance has hurt your relationship with conservatives?
Well, sir, you just cited a poll, and that's great, but there's definitely more than looking in hindsight as to what my or anybody's policies will do to them politically. What is definite is this. I believe that this issue is one that we need to focus on, and I felt that I was in a place where I can make a difference. I will still focus on this issue and communicate its importance with the American people.
Let's transition to the Affordable Care Act. You've made it clear that you in no way support Obamacare, and our president has made news recently announcing a risk corridor program related to the law. Talk about that and what you plan to do with the proposed risk corridor policy.
Generally, risk corridors are used to lessen insurers' chance of risk. These corridors the president is planning on deploying are to be pretty open-ended, so taxpayers will essentially end up bailing out the healthcare industry if and when Obamacare fails. Of course, this will be awful for the economy and the country as a whole. The American Academy of Actuaries released a statement that said that these corridors being paid on the public's dime would lead to negative consequences for consumers, health insurers, and the federal government. This is an unthinkably awful prospect for the American people, and I am introducing legislation that will eliminate the risk corridor provision, ensuring that the public will not have to bail out the healthcare industry at all. Of course, the main goal is to repeal Obamacare if we want to truly make healthcare more accessible and affordable, but this will be a start.
This past October, you voted against the final deal to reopen the federal government. Why did you do this?
Well, let me be clear here. I never voted for or intended to shut the government down or continue the shutdown. I was always in favor of funding the government. The people who really instigated the shutdown were the Democrats, because they, in effect, said, you need to agree to fully fund Obamacare and all of its provisions. This forcing really led us to the shutdown.
What do you think of the deal that was struck with Iran recently over its nuclear program?
Well, this was hardly agreement, but rather a great mistake. This plan does not freeze Iran's nuclear program, and they will not have to suspend their uranium enrichment. Instead, because the country is now able to retain much of its nuclear infrastructure, they will be just as, if not more likely, to produce a nuclear weapon. There is really nothing good about this so-called deal for our country, and the only step forward is to impose numerous sanctions on Iran's program until it is completely abandoned and the threat is actually gone.
Mr. Rubio, let's talk about foreign intelligence. There has obviously been a lot made about foreign intelligence in recent months. What are your views on this controversial subject?
Well, we should all agree on this. This age and trend of intelligence is not going to go away anytime soon. Government officials realistically need to make peace with the fact that information on their devices is most likely being monitored by officials from other countries, even allies, more often than it is not. That being said, the outrage expressed by European leaders at our spying is rather unnecessary. Everybody spies on everybody, and international surveillance is here to stay. We've been monitored on the nature of these programs, as our president has said, and it is our duty to step in if they become inappropriate for the task at hand.
Keeping on the international track, you recently made remarks about your views on foreign policy at the American Enterprise Institute. Talk to us about this.
Sure, we need to modify our approach to foreign policy in these times of instability and changing international powers. Generally, using diplomacy and at times foreign aid will be the most effective ways to protect the country in question and further our interest, a win-win situation. In the past, we have relied on our military too much, and while this may be a sexier path to take, it is not as effective, and we have to gradually shy away from this unquestioningly aggressive tactic.
All right, thank you again, Mr. Rubio, for coming on here on MWNN.
Thank you very much.